Week 4 NFL prediction video. So last week I finally did not have 10 wins for once. I went 11-5, so pretty happy about that. That's not too bad. My record on the season now is 31-16-1. So once again, not too bad. Could be better, but not too bad. I went wrong on a Thursday night game. Obviously, I did pick the Titans. I thought they were the better team. I didn't give Gardner Minshew enough credit there, so that's on me. And obviously, they took that game pretty easily. Bengals and Bills, I took the Bills. Bengals almost came back and won that game. Bills held them off, though. Packers won that game pretty comfortably against the Broncos, and Joe Flacco continues to not look too impressive. Dolphins at Cowboys, I watched a lot of that because I'm a Josh Rosen lover, so I did watch a good amount of that game, more than someone should, and I thought he played pretty well. His receivers let him down. Cowboys made a lot of big plays on offense, and Dolphins defense can't stop anybody, it seems like. Falcons at Colts was a close game like I expected. The Colts did take that game. Matt Ryan with another interception. I'll get into him later. He's had a rough start this year so far. Ravens at Chiefs. Lamar Jackson did just about everything he could. Made outrageous plays in this one, but Patrick Mahomes is just the best player in the league right now and is borderline unstoppable, so the Chiefs took that one. Lions at Eagles. The Lions just continue to win games somehow. I'm not really sold on them as a team, but they continue to win. The Eagles dealt with a lot of injuries in that game, but unfortunately they lost, and the Eagles nearly had a game-winning, or not a game-winning, but a comeback drive to tie the game. It fell short, unfortunately. The Jets at Patriots. I did pick the Patriots, of course. The Jets somehow covered this game with a pick six from Jarrett Stidham when Tom Brady was out, and the Patriots had a muff punt. So the Jets somehow covered the 20.5 point spread or whatever it was. So that was unfortunate for people who bet on the Patriots in that game. Raiders and Vikings. I picked the Vikings. I thought they'd win this one easily, and they did. Dalvin Cook once again was unstoppable. Panthers at Cardinals. I really thought the Cardinals were going to win that game. I did not expect Kyle Allen to come in and throw 4 touchdowns, so it is what it is. The Giants at Buccaneers. That's one I'm happy I got wrong. My Giants took that one, so I did pick the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers should have won that game easily. They were up 28-10 at halftime. They had a 34-yard field goal to win the game. Missed that. Bruce Arians had a terrible play calling in the second half, so a lot of that loss is just terrible for the Buccaneers. They go to 1-2 now, I believe. Texans at Chargers. I was on the right side of that one. I picked the Texans. The Chargers were favorites in that one. I just think the Chargers have too many injuries right now, so I just went with the Texans. I'm a big Texans fan. Not really an actual Texans fan, but I'm a believer in the Texans, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I love Deshaun Watson, and he made a lot of big plays in that game. Saints at Seahawks. I had the Seahawks. I wasn't really a believer in Teddy Bridgewater, but the Seahawks had no interest in playing defense in this game. Seahawks almost made a late comeback, but too little too late in that one. Steelers at Niners. The Steelers offense looks like it could be in trouble here with no Ben Roethlisberger. Mason Rudolph had 2 big plays in that game, but outside of that, he was not too impressive. James Conner, a late fumble in that one that was very costly. The Rams at Browns, the Sunday nighter, the Rams took that one. Cooper Kupp had a huge game. Freddie Kitchens had some very questionable play calls as the Browns head coach, and Baker Mayfield still kind of struggling there. And the Bears at Redskins, the Bears defense in the first half was just overwhelming for Case Keenum, who had 3 interceptions in that game, threw a pick 6 as well. The Redskins had a better offensive game in the second half, but once again, too little too late. So I went 11-5, not too bad, and hopefully we do better in week 4. So let's get into these week 4 matchups. So this week, Thursday Night Football actually looks fun. Last time it wasn't too fun. No offense to the Tennessee fans and Jacksonville fans, but this should be more enjoyable. Philly does have some injuries, but it should be fun because, watching Aaron Rodgers is very fun in my opinion. So the Eagles do have injuries. Alshon Jeffrey is expected to play in this one. I think Deshaun Jackson's been ruled out already. I don't know if they have injuries on defense or anything like that, but the Eagles, they do seem like they have a lot of injuries right now. The Eagles had a tough loss against the Lions at home last week. I talked about that before. The Eagles turnover versus the Lions. They had 2 fumbles in that game as well. I believe Miles Sanders, the rookie running back, had one. And Nelson Aguilar, who I can't figure out. Nelson Aguilar is such an up and down, hot and cold type of person. He has, the Falcon game, he had a crazy catch at the end, but right before that had a ball go through his hands to possibly win the game. And then he had 2 touchdowns in this game, but also has a costly fumble and a costly drop in this one as well. Nelson Aguilar has to be the most frustrating player to watch, and I'm kind of happy he's not on my team because I don't know if I would like the guy, honestly. The Packers are still undefeated at 3-0, so let's see if they can keep that up. I think they do, obviously, based off who I picked to win this game. Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, I talked before the season even started about who would play more at the running back position. I was hoping it was Aaron Jones. I drafted him in my fantasy football leagues a lot, but you bet your ass I traded him a lot in my leagues this week because Jamal Williams is on the field more. It makes no sense to me, but that's what Matt LaFleur wants to do, so I don't really agree with it, but it is what it is. Devontae Adams, I think, has a blow-up game in this one. Of course, the Eagles have a weak secondary. Devontae Adams has yet to have a touchdown, I believe, this year. He had a good week too, but still hasn't had like a monster game yet, but I think this could be it. And the Eagles could fall to 1-3 in this one. The Cowboys might go 4-0 after this week, so it's not good. Not good for the Eagles right now. The Giants have a chance to go 2-2, so maybe the Eagles are in third place after this week. I mean, who knows? But looks like the Cowboys have a pretty strong control of this NFC East right now, so don't want to call it a must-win for the Eagles, but it would definitely be a costly loss. But I do have the Packers winning this one to go 4-0 on the season. On to the Sunday games. We start with the Tennessee Titans, who are 1-2, at the Atlanta Falcons, who are also 1-2. The Falcons are favored by 4 points in this one. I was very, very tempted to pick the Tennessee Titans to win this game, but for some reason, when you watch teams on national TV and they have a complete crappy game, you kind of shy away from them, and I don't want to go down with Marcus Mariota in back-to-back weeks. I would feel like a fool, so I'm just going to stay away from that. And Matt Ryan's had a rough season so far. He's had 6 interceptions. He's had 7 all of last year, so he already almost has as many as he did last year. The Falcons coming off a tough loss in Indianapolis, so how do they bounce back? I feel like they should win this game at home. Keanu Neal, their safety's out for the season now with an Achilles injury, so that's not good for them. The Falcons did have 16 penalties last week, so they need to clean that up. I mean, I feel like maybe if they cut that in half, maybe they win in Indianapolis last week, so who knows. And the loser goes to 1-3, so I mean that's definitely not good for whoever loses this game. 2-2 and 1-3 is a huge difference, so we'll see who wins it. It wouldn't shock me if the Titans win this one, but due to the fact that the Falcons are home and have a much better offense, and Matt Ryan's a much better quarterback than Marcus Mariota, obviously, I'm still surprised that Ryan Tannehill's not the starter yet, but I don't know. I feel like if Mariota plays poorly in this one, they might make a change, so we'll see. But I am going with the Falcons in this matchup. Next, we have the Kansas City Chiefs at 3-0 against the undefeated, I guess you can call them, Detroit Lions at 2-0-1. I have yet to pick the Lions correct in any game this year, so hopefully I don't get this one wrong again. I'm going to go with the Chiefs, obviously. They are the better team. They are on the road, but they are the much better team in my opinion. So, battle of undefeated teams. The Lions had a big win in Philadelphia last week. I did pick the Eagles to win that game, as I said. The Chiefs had a big win versus Baltimore last week. I mean, there was a lot of questions about can Lamar Jackson come in and beat Patrick Mahomes, but they really answered the question right there. High-scoring game, I think it's possible. The Chiefs don't have a great defense, and Patrick Mahomes it doesn't really matter what defense he plays. I mean, Detroit's had a decent defense this year, but still, I feel like Patrick Mahomes, of all people, can put up a lot of points here. So I expect a high total of points here. And are the Lions legit? I personally don't think so. I don't want Lions fans to hate me, but you think back to their wins, right? So you look at the Eagles game last week, we had the Nelson Aguilar drop. They had a Darren Sproles completion on the final drive that was called back. I mean, there's just even the Chargers game, and the Chargers game was so frustrating with the missed field goals and the goal line fumble, and the Lions should have won week 1, so they're frustrating me from that standpoint too. They should have won week 1 against the Cardinals, but unfortunately it ended in a tie, so they should be 3-0 right now, so it sucks for them, but I personally don't think they're legit. I think the Chiefs will cover the number at 6.5, so I would definitely bet this game, and I think the Chiefs will win this one pretty comfortably. I say by 10 points or more. The LA Chargers, who are 1-2 this year, face the 0-3 Miami Dolphins. I'll get it out of the way. I think the Chargers will win this game, obviously, but by how much is the real question. So the line right now, the website I used did not have a line, but other websites had minus 16.5 as a line. I feel like the Chargers will cover this, but I'm not too sure about it. I was pretty confident the Cowboys would cover it. I was pretty confident the Patriots would cover it. I was very confident week 1 that the Ravens would cover that spread of 7 points it was somehow. So this one I'm not really too sure on, but I would pick the Chargers if I had to. I probably wouldn't bet it, honestly. Melvin Gordon just announced he'll be back. He's going to return to this team, but not this week. He'll come back week 5, so he won't be playing in this game, obviously. Josh Rosen, their quarterback, does have an elbow injury right now, but should be fine, so I think he'll play in this game. He'll start for them. He looked good in Dallas. His receivers, as I said, just, they dropped too many passes. The Dolphins could have had 2 extra touchdowns in that game, but they had a drop touchdown by, I think it was Preston Williams, maybe someone else, maybe I forget who it was, honestly. But there was a fumble by Kenyon Drake in the red zone as well. So just a lot of crap went wrong for the Dolphins, just shooting themselves in the foot as they always do. The Chargers secondary is heavily injured. I mean, outside of Casey Hayward, it's really hard to name any Chargers players in the secondary right now. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe the Dolphins put up some points in this game. I'm not counting on it, but it's possible. And the Chargers obviously need a win here. I mean, you look at their division, the Chiefs have a chance to go 4-0 this week, and I'm not saying they have a chance to win the division, but if they went 1-3 and the Chiefs went 4-0, it's the same thing as the Eagles and the Cowboys. You can't have that if you're the Chargers. You need this game, unless Phillip Rivers somehow gets hurt in this game or doesn't play. They will get this game pretty comfortably, I would say. I don't know if they cover it by 16.5, but they will win this game, so give me the Chargers in this one. A battle for first place in the AFC East. We have the New England Patriots at 3-0 against the Buffalo Bills, who are also 3-0. So this game, of course, is in Buffalo. The Patriots defense has 0 touchdowns allowed this year, which is insane to think about. They haven't played the best opponents yet. I mean, they did face Ben Roethlisberger, who's a potential future Hall of Fame quarterback, so that's pretty impressive. Not much weapons to deal with for him, but still. They faced Luke Falk and the Jets last week, and then they faced Ryan Fitzpatrick / Josh Rosen in week 2. So you could say, well, the Jets scored 14 last week, but that was on a pick 6 and a fumble that was returned for a touchdown. So technically, the defense of the Patriots has no touchdowns given up. I feel like that's just an insane stat right there. Rough second half for Josh Allen in that game against the Bengals. Had a very rough third quarter. They went up 14-0 pretty quickly, but then in the third quarter, Josh Allen made a really bad throw at one point, had a bad interception in that game. Did have a game-winning drive at the end of that game, so, I mean, at least they had that, but seemed like they took their foot off the gas pedal, the Bills, and you can't do that in the NFL. You see it all the time. You can't do that kind of stuff. 2 good defenses against each other. That'll be fun to watch, so I don't think this will be too high scoring. I expect the score maybe in the 20s for both teams. The Patriots do have some injuries at wide receiver. Julian Edelman with a chest injury, he should be fine. I believe Josh Gordon has some minor injury as well, so they should be okay, but they are on the injury report. So the Bills fans in this game will be crazy. I'm very excited already to see some of the Twitter videos or Instagram videos of people being put through tables on Sunday morning, so that'll be fun to watch. Should be a loud stadium, but I do think the Patriots will play them they'll play them as their record says they are, 3-0. The Patriots, I don't want to say have to win this game, but they'll take it seriously. I don't see the Patriots leaving this game 3-1, so I do have the Patriots winning this one, but I do wish the Bills would win, but I got to be honest, I am picking the Patriots. Next, we have the Oakland Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. The Raiders at 1-2, Colts at 2-1. The Colts are a -7 in this game. I'm very tempted to pick the Colts and bet them in this game, but I feel like what could happen, and I feel like the reason it's at 7, is because they'll take this game slow. They're not going to try and push anything on offense. We know Jacoby Brissett isn't really a big risk taker, so I feel like they're going to have a conservative type of offense, give Marlon Mack the ball a lot, and I think they'll win this game by probably 4 to 7 points, somewhere in there, but they could also blow them out. It wouldn't surprise me either way. So Brissett's looked really good this year. Derek Carr has been declining each week. He had a good week 1 against the Broncos and then just kept declining by week after week. Had some really bad throws against the Chiefs in week 2. And then last week, they played the Vikings. He did have a garbage time touchdown at Tyrell Williams in that game, but outside of that, Derek Carr did not look good at all. Darren Waller, the tight end for the Raiders, looks pretty legit. I don't know where he came from. He did have some off-the-field issues, I believe, in the past, but he's come out this year as their starting tight end and has definitely been a very effective weapon for them. T.Y. Hilton is possibly out of this game. He injured himself on a touchdown catch last week. I believe it's some kind of quad injury, so we'll see if he plays. If I'm the Colts, I'd keep him out of it. I don't think they need him to win this game, but we'll see what happens. Darius Leonard, who missed last week's game, the linebacker for the Colts with a concussion, is still not practicing now, so we'll see if he plays this game as well, so who knows. And I believe lots of Marlon Mack carries, as I said before. I think they'll take this game slow, the Colts offensively. They'll try to mitigate the risk on offense, and I think it'll be a lot of carries for Marlon Mack, and he should do well against this Raiders defense. The Washington Redskins at 0-3 at my New York Giants, who are 1-2, a big win in Tampa for them. Giants coming off a thrilling win, of course, in Tampa. They had the missed field goal at the end, so the Giants came in with a victory there, get their first win of the year. The Redskins, with a tough loss on Monday night, gave up 3 touchdowns to Taylor Gabriel. Their defense and their secondary looked pretty bad in that one, so we'll see what Daniel Jones does against them. Case Keenum or Haskins. I mean, Case Keenum is not practicing right now with a foot injury, and I believe the head coach Jay Gruden said that the next quarterback in line is Dwayne Haskins, so if Keenum can't go in this game, it's Dwayne Haskins against Daniel Jones, which is a pretty cool story, so I hope it happens. Has the Giants' defense improved? They looked a lot better in the second half of that Buccaneers game. They looked atrocious in the first half, but they came back, looked a lot better in the second half. So can they keep it going? I'm not sure. I really don't expect it, but we'll see. And Washington definitely has some secondary issues as well. Josh Norman's off to a rough start this year. He did have an interception last game, but overall has had a rough start this year. And of course, as a Giants fan, I know Landon Collins is not the best in coverage also. So we'll see what happens there. And I do have the Giants winning this game. Wouldn't surprise me if the Redskins came out. I think the Redskins are going to give them a good battle in this one. As a Giants fan, I don't really expect to just blow by the Redskins and have them not put up a fight in this game. They don't want to go 0-4, so I think it'll be a tough game, but I do think the Giants come out with a victory, a close victory in this one. The Carolina Panthers at 1-2 visit the Houston Texans, who are 2-1. Texans are favored by 4.5 points here. I like the Texans a lot in this game. I liked them last week as well. I wasn't too confident in it, but I'm very confident in this pick. I probably would bet this, honestly. I think Carolina is being a bit overblown after the performance by Kyle Allen against Arizona. We know the Cardinals don't have much of a defense, so I feel like, Houston's defense compared to Arizona is much different, obviously. So I think the Texans win this game by at least a touchdown. Greg Olsen looks back, the tight end for the Panthers. Had some rough injuries the last few years, honestly, with his foot injuries. But, he's had a really great start to the season. Had 2 touchdowns last week. Looks like he's fine. Deshaun Watson last week had 351 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I'm sure he got sacked a lot because he always does. Houston had 5 sacks last week, and Carolina had 8 sacks against Arizona. So, hey, maybe there's a lot of sacks in this game. I don't know. So, the Panthers will once again face a weak offensive line. We know Arizona has a weak offensive line, and so do the Texans. So maybe they get 16 sacks in 2 weeks, which would be pretty insane, but we'll see what happens. I do think the Texans will make enough big plays. I don't think Kyle Allen's throwing for 4 touchdowns again. We'll see. I could be wrong, but I just don't expect it. So I'll take the Texans to win this game. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns at 1-2 at the Baltimore Ravens, who are 2-1 this year. Ravens are favored by a touchdown in this one. I do have the Ravens to win this game, but I do think the Browns will give them a good battle in this one. I think if I were to bet this one, I'd probably pick the Browns because I think they will lose by less than 7 points, but I do think the Ravens win this one overall. The funny thing is, if the Browns win this game, based on how bad things have gone for them this year, if the Browns win this game, they are in first place because, they are going to be 2-2. The Ravens would be 2-2. We know the Steelers and the Bengals are winless right now. So if the Browns win this game, they're right back in first place. So, this all this crap could be erased with a win right here, but I'm not expecting it. So Cleveland's offensive line and their secondary, they have too many secondary injuries right now. Their offensive line has not played well. Freddie Kitchens, a lot of criticism this week, especially for that draw play he ran on 4th and 9. But, just the questionable play calling he had, especially on that final drive. They had 4 plays in the red zone, and he ran the same formations every time. Didn't even try to run the ball with Nick Chubb once, so it was kind of weird to see his play calling and stuff like that. We'll see if he changes it. He has no plans of giving up the play calling duties, so we'll see if Freddie Kitchens can fix that, or if he keeps losing, he might be the first coach fired this year. We'll see. So I do have the Ravens winning this. I do think they'll make enough plays offensively. The Ravens probably have a better defense, and I think Lamar Jackson has looked a lot better than Baker Mayfield this year. So, with the Ravens being at home, I'll take them to win this game, but I do think the Browns do cover the spread. On to the 4 o'clock games. We start with the Seattle Seahawks at 2-1 against the 0-2-1 Arizona Cardinals. I picked the Cardinals to win last week, and they definitely let me down, so I'm not doing it this week. I'm not too sold on the Seahawks. I'm not too high on them right now, but they are a better team. They are on the road, but still, it's not the most hostile environment, so I'll take the Seahawks in this one. It's a big game for them because the Rams are probably going to win against Tampa. They would go 4-0. San Francisco's 3-0 on the bye, so they really can't fall to 2-2. That's not good for them in the division. The Cardinals' offense is still moving the ball. Not great in the red zone still, but they were better last game. I'll give them that, but still on the whole season, it's not been too smooth in the red zone for their offense so far. Chris Carson, the running back for the Seahawks, their starting running back, has too many fumbling issues right now. I believe he's had 3 fumbles and 2 lost in the last 2 games. It's been rough for him, so he needs to hold on to the ball. Seattle's defense is obviously not what it used to be. We saw the Saints go into Seattle And I heard like a crazy stat. Like, this is the first time a Pete Carroll Seahawks team has lost in Seattle in September since he's taken over as the coach, which is a long time. It's like eight years or something like that. So for the Saints to come in there and do that to them and put up like 30-something points is very impressive, and it tells you all you need to know about Seattle's defense. And I mean, they almost lost to the Bengals week 1 in Seattle as well, so their defense is concerning. Arizona's defense is not much better. They're actually probably one of the bottom 3 defenses in football right now. So Russell Wilson is better than Kyler Murray. I do love Kyler Murray. I think he'll be a star one day, but just doesn't have the surrounding pieces around him to succeed right now. I think their offense is fine, and it should be a pretty high-scoring game, I think, but I do have to pick the Seahawks to win this game. So, once again, if the Cardinals won this game, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I'd be a little surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked. But I am going to go with the Seahawks to win this game. And if I were to bet this, I might pick the Cardinals, but I feel like I'd pick the Seahawks if I was going to bet the spread as well. Next, we have the Buccaneers at 1-2 against the 3-0 LA Rams. The Rams are favored by 10 points in this one. That's kind of surprising. That's a lot of points right there. I do pick the Rams to win this game outright, but if I were betting this game, I'd probably pick the Buccaneers. I feel like 10 points is a lot. It might be a push. Maybe they win by 10 points exactly, but Tampa Bay, I feel like, is too good offensively. Their front 7 on defense is really good, so I feel like they're underrating them a little bit right now. Tampa's going to be hungry based off the game they gave away last week against the Giants, so I think they'll come out and put up a good fight in this one. So, the Rams came off a nice win at Cleveland on Monday Night Football. They almost went to overtime there. The Browns were like 5 yards away from bringing that game to overtime. So the Rams have not really dominated yet like they did last year at this point. But, it's like the Rams are still finding a way to win, which is impressive nonetheless. The Bucs defense definitely needs turnovers in this game. I feel like if they don't win the turnover battle, there's no chance they win this game. I don't think Jameis Winston's going to win a turnover battle anyway. But Jared Goff is prone to throwing some interceptions, especially this year. He has not really impressed me so far. Todd Gurley is not looking so good right now. If you drafted him in like the first round of fantasy football, not a good look for you right now. I feel like, Tampa Bay has looked really good against star running backs. I mean, Christian McCaffrey on Thursday Night Football week 2, they shut him down. They only faced Saquon Barkley for like a half, but they shut him down when he was playing as well. Week 1, they played the 49ers, but they really don't have a star running back, so I can't say much. They injured Tevin Coleman, so I don't know if that really counts as anything. But Bruce Arians flat out blew the game. I mean, the Buccaneers had a 28-10 lead. Seemed like Bruce Arians kind of just took his foot off the gas a little too much there. Didn't really stick to the passing attack and let the Giants back in the game. Daniel Jones worked his magic. So I do have the Rams winning this game, but I do believe the Buccaneers will lose this game by less than 10 points. So if I were betting on the spread, I would pick the Buccaneers here, but of course I do have to pick the Rams to win this game outright. Next, we have the 1-2 Jaguars coming off a Thursday night victory at the 0-3 Denver Broncos. I do pick the Jaguars to win this game, but I don't feel good about it. The Broncos are favored by 3 points, but I'm just not into the whole Broncos offense right now. It's concerning because the Broncos also have no sacks this year. I feel like Von Miller hasn't done anything this year. Bradley Chubb, same thing. I mean, it's very concerning. And Chris Harris is still playing well at cornerback, but if they can't generate a pass rush and give Gardner Minshew time to throw, we saw what Gardner Minshew did against a good Titans defense on Thursday. If they give him time to throw in this game and no pressure, I feel like he'll just carve them up. So if they're not creating pressure, I think the Jaguars win this game. Does Leonard Fournette look more efficient? I don't know. I mean, he had a very rough game on Thursday night until he had that long run at the end of the game. But he was like 10 carries, negative yards at one point. I think Jalen Ramsey's already been like ruled out this game. He has a lot of things going on. He has the flu, a baby on the way, has some other issue, I think an injury or something like that, but he's had a rough week, it seems like, so I don't know if he just doesn't want to play or if he legit has stuff going on. I don't know. Denver allowed 6 sacks to Green Bay last week, and Jacksonville had a ton of sacks against Marcus Mariota. So look, maybe Jacksonville gets 8 sacks in this game. I would definitely bet the over on the sacks, whatever it is in this game. So if Denver had a pass rush, it'd be much easier to bet that. But I feel like with Denver and Joe Flacco not being mobile, I feel like they'll get to him a lot. Can the Broncos establish a run game? We'll see. I mean, I like their running backs, as I always say. I'm a big Royce Freeman guy, so we'll see what they can do. But I feel like if Gardner Minshew is going to have enough time and the Broncos' pass rush is not going to be there, I feel like Jacksonville is going to take this game. It is tough to win in Denver. It's a very tough environment to play in, but, Gardner Minshew's answered every challenge so far, so I think they'll be fine, and I'm going to stick with Jacksonville in this game. I wouldn't bet this. I don't have a good feeling about this, but I'm going to go with the upset and pick the Jaguars. I believe this is the last of the 4 o'clock games, so we have a 4:25 Minnesota Vikings at 2-1 against the 2-1 Chicago Bears. I picked the Bears to win this game. They are favored by 2.5 points. It's a tough loss for the division. Whoever loses this game goes to 2-2, of course. And if everything goes right in my mind, the Packers should be 4-0, so they'll be 2 games back automatically. The Bears would be more than 2 games back because they don't hold the tiebreaker with the Packers, and same with the Vikings. So the Packers have a very solid lead on this division for whoever's in third place right here. So Chicago won both of these meetings last year, not by a lot. I remember one of the games was in prime time. Kirk Cousins threw a couple interceptions and a game-losing interception as well. So we all know how Kirk Cousins plays in these games. He beats the crap out of the bad teams, but against good teams, really doesn't show up too much. I think Dalvin Cook's going to have a tough time in this game. I still think he'll be fine. He'll probably get like 80 yards on the ground. I mean, he's dominated all season, but he's had a pretty light schedule to this point. This is the first real test for him. I think he'll get like 20 carries, 80 yards or something. So we'll see if they can do that. I'm sure the Bears are going to have Kirk Cousins try to beat them. I feel like that's the best strategy. I'm sure Chuck Pagano, their defensive coordinator, is going to try and have that happen. I understand the Vikings have some good weapons, but still, we know how Kirk Cousins plays in these big games. I just mentioned it before, and if I was Chuck Pagano and calling the defense, I would try to make him beat me and not the running back who's leading the league in rushing right now. So that's the way I would go about it. I do think the Bears win this game. I mean, the Vikings are just not the same team on the road. The Vikings lost on the road last time to the Packers. I mean, they did put up a good fight, but the Vikings at home are just a different animal. They're just a really good team at home. So, I think playing in Chicago is tough. Their defense is going to be crazy as usual, and the Minnesota offensive line has never really been that good for a while, so I think they'll get enough pressure there and probably sack Cousins a good amount. So I do have the Bears winning this game. On to Sunday Night Football, we have the Dallas Cowboys in New Orleans to play the Saints. The Cowboys undefeated at 3-0. Saints are 2-1 this year. The Cowboys are favored by -2.5. That makes sense to me with no Drew Brees playing. I feel like obviously the Saints would probably be favored if Drew Brees is playing in this game. I do have the Cowboys winning this game. I just, think the offense for the Cowboys has looked so good this year. I know they haven't played a real opponent yet. They played the Eli Manning Giants. They played the Case Keenum Redskins and the Ryan Fitzpatrick, or that was Josh Rosen, the Josh Rosen Dolphins. They haven't had a real test yet. This is their first real test. We'll see if the Cowboys are legit. I think their roster is very, very good up and down. Their defense is really good as well. So I just feel like they have a better offense right now as compared to the Teddy Bridgewater-led New Orleans Saints. They also have a better defense, so I'm giving them the edge there. I just feel like they don't have the firepower of the Saints offensively with no Drew Brees. Of course, I still like Michael Thomas. I like Alvin Kamara a lot, but I feel like the Cowboys are smart enough to just, zone in on those guys and try to take them out of the game as much as possible, and I think they'll be fine. So it's going to be a fun game. It would be a lot more fun if Drew Brees was playing. I remember last year on Thursday night that Dallas beat the Saints when they were really hot, and that was the game where Drew Brees started to not look like himself anymore, which is kind of weird, but the Cowboys beat them last year, but that was at home, so we'll see if they can do it in New Orleans as well. And I do have the Cowboys winning a close one. I don't know. I mean, I hope the Cowboys lose as a Giants fan, but, I'll be honest, though. I did not expect the Saints to win in Seattle, so that impressed me. So if maybe they do it again, who knows? But Seattle's defense compared to Dallas's defense is just not the same thing. But this time, New Orleans is at home. So, I mean, obviously, I'm juggling this a lot. I don't know exactly who to pick, but I'm going to go with Dallas. They have the better roster. Right now, they have the better quarterback, and right now, they're clicking on offense. So I'll just go with Dallas in this game. Lastly, for Monday Night Football, not the most exciting game, we have a battle of 0-3 teams, the Cincinnati Bengals against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and unless there's a tie, someone's coming away 1-3 here. I picked the Steelers. I feel like that right now they just have a better defense, they have a better offensive line. I wasn't too impressed with Mason Rudolph. I mean, I liked him in college, but last game it wasn't too impressive. He had 2 big plays in this game, lots of yards after the catch with the Juju Smith-Schuster catch, but if Mason Rudolph can play better in his second start, then I think they'll be fine in this one. James Conner needs to bounce back. Had a tough fumble, a game-losing fumble in San Francisco last week. But the defense of Pittsburgh against the Cincinnati offensive line, I feel like it's a pretty big matchup and a big advantage for Pittsburgh. So I think they'll take advantage of that. And Andy Dalton should not be comfortable in the pocket this game, so we'll see what happens there. I think this game will be close and low scoring, so I'd probably bet the under. I'm not too confident betting the Steelers in this game, but I feel like if I had to pick pick someone, I would pick the Steelers. That's why I put them down. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully, for Steelers fans' sake, Mason Rudolph looks better in his second career start. I personally can't remember the last time the Steelers were 0-4 in my lifetime, so I can't see it happening, but that'd be pretty shocking. I don't know. I just feel like the Steelers being at home and their roster up and down is probably a little bit better, so I'm going to go with them, but Mason Rudolph has to play well in this one. So that'll do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and for future reference, if any trolls are going to say anything in the comments, can you at least come at me with some football knowledge? Like, a lot of people comment like simple stuff like, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know anything about football, and then like they'll just like not say anything. So I was talking to a guy last week who was like saying like, he's had some comment like, talking to you about football is like talking to a wall. So I was like, all right, like that's fair. You don't agree with my opinion, that's cool. But like, how about you leave me some like predictions for this week? And of course, I got no answer, which kind of makes him look stupid. But like, if you're gonna come at me, can you at least leave me your predictions so we can go over them? I mean, I'm not gonna expose you, but like, can you at least like try to leave me some kind of stuff to work with here? You know what I mean? It just makes no sense to me. It's kind of funny. It just makes them look stupid. But if you're gonna comment some dumb stuff, at least try to come at me with some good predictions or something like that. So that's all I got to say. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for the Giants and Redskins preview, and I'll talk to you guys next time.